Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Starsky and Hutch from 2004. Not the TV show, but the movie, starring Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Snoop Dogg, Vince Vaughn, Fred Williamson, Juliette Lewis, Jason Bateman, Carmen Electra, and Amy Smart, directed by Todd Phillips. Now, before I get into this, I have seen this movie before, but at the same time, I don't know if I like Todd Phillips as a director because after Old School and Road Trip and so many other bad films, with an exception of the first Joker and Hangover films, the guy I don't feel like is talented at making a good movie anymore. What do I mean by that? Well, he makes typically R-rated comedies that don't always work out, or maybe are remakes, but let's see. I mean, this is based on a TV show, for goodness sakes, so let's get into this movie. We started in 1975 in Bay City, where Reese Feldman, played by Vince Vaughn, kills Terrence Myers because of something about planes and how much they cost money, which is something I don't fully understand. While his girlfriend or assistant, I don't understand what she is as her name is Kitty, and played by Juliette Lewis, watches. And how in the hell does she just stand there is beyond me, as we get introduced to David Starsky, played by Ben Stiller, as he chases a bad guy and will do everything to catch him, while Ken Hutchinson, aka Hutch, played by Owen Wilson, goes undercover and pretends he's robbing a bookie, and we move on to Starsky getting yelled at by Captain Doby, played by Fred Williamson, until Hutch comes in and Doby makes them partners, which kind of works while Reese is getting chewed out by Kevin, played by Jason Bateman, as they go into a meeting about getting a new kind of cocaine with a German shepherd named Ivan searching for the old cocaine and showing them how much criminal action will become. And this plot is all over the place. Like, I don't understand this movie, and I don't get how funny it is. Like, people do, but I don't. Like, there was a lady when I saw this in theaters back in 2004 asking me, I can't believe that I didn't laugh through the whole movie. There's a reason. Starsky and Hutch visit Hutch's friend named Huggy Bear, played by Snoop Dogg, and I don't get their relationship towards each other, as this movie doesn't make much sense, as they meet with him, and Starsky asks people if they have warrants to their weapons, and accidentally shoots Corky, the iguana's tail, as Huggy understands why his assistants want to shoot Starsky in the ass, which was dumb enough as it is, and Starsky goes to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, while Hutch is late, and before he comes into work at 10 o'clock in the morning, he sees the local kid named Willis, who asks for his $20 back, and comes into work at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they go out and patrol in Starsky's ride, which is a red Ford Gran Torino, and get to a crime scene where Starsky solves a murder of Terrence while Hutch steals his money from his wallet, and they get to a diner and another cop named Manetti, who's played by Chris Penn, and I don't like these characters, as I'm, again, not a Todd Phillips fan in general, after a bunch of bad comedies, with an exception of a few, and Joker Filet Dieu, what a terrible film. Starsky and Hutch meets Reese to solve the case, and they lead to the cheerleaders as they go to the cheerleaders named Stacy, played by Carmen Electra, and Holly, played by Amy Smart, leading them to Heather, and Holly gives them their numbers for questioning purposes while they ask another cheerleader named Heather, who takes off her shirt. And the fact that this is a PG-13 rated movie, meaning they can't show her top, is very odd to me. This should have been rated R, folks. While Starsky and Hutch pick up Willis from school, and they visit Huggy Bear to look for a man who made a jacket with dragons on them named Big Earl, as Reese and Kevin meet and talk with Starsky and Hutch, and while Starsky and Hutch are in the locker room fighting with Manetti while they're wearing the hand towels, and that doesn't make me laugh. Like, what the hell is going on here? How are they this stupid? Starsky and Hutch go to a bar owned by Big Earl and beat up some people who are led to believe Jeff is Big Earl, and they ask where Big Earl is at, and they lead him to a prison, and is played by Will Ferrell, as they ask about Terrence Myers, and Big Earl asks Hutch to see his belly button, and look back at him mean like a dragon, and involves both of them by acting like two dragons doing something rather weird. And Dobie sees it on the tape because there was a camera there and gives the case to Minetti, who's the worst cop in the force. And this is entertaining, but not enough for me to enjoy myself with this movie whatsoever. Starsky and Hutch take Stacy and Holly out and start off with at Hutch's place. And Starsky gets some sugar for coffee as they don't have any sugar, and he tries the cocaine as Starsky wants Holly, aka the blonde, and Hutch gets Stacy as their double dates. And Starsky gets Hutch's guitar and he plays a song and sees an animated bunch of animals as he's coked out of his mind. And he observes Hutch's singing and Stacy and Holly until they go clubbing, with Stacy and Holly until they go to the club to dance, and there's a dance off between Starsky and a dancer named Dancin' Rick, and I guess it's kind of funny, but it's like the song choice. I'll say that much as that makes the music choices in this was fun, and I guess, but unfortunately, the owner of the club gives it to Dancin' Rick, and Starsky goes hostile, and Hutch knocks him out. And I kind of like the sequence, but at the end of the day, it's not funny. But the music choices were groovy and fun, I guess. Stacy and Holly kiss Hutch, as Holly says she really likes Starsky, but they do a triple kissing contest. And we move on to Starsky waking up the next morning, and Hutch making a blending drink for him as they go outside to get shot at by a bad guy, whom in a few minutes later tracks him down with his son, who won't stop throwing knives and arrests his father, and gets the knives out of Starsky and Hutch. And Starsky goes bad cop, and Hutch goes good cop. And that felt like a cliche, and the cinematography felt very 1970s, which was the point of this movie, as it's set in 1975. Starsky and Hutch come to Reese's daughter's birthday party disguised as pantomimes. They're not doing the best job at being a pantomime, and Starsky follows Reese to the telephone with Big Earl, and Starsky believes Reese has cocaine in the garage as he shoots a pony inside the garage, which is not funny. It's more heartbreaking. And I can't believe people laughed at this because it's not funny, which is a real problem from the get-go. While Starsky files for a transfer to a different precinct because of Hutch's behavior, and Hutch feels betrayed as he wrote things about him behind his back. And this movie feels heartbreaking compared to other comedies based on a TV show. And they split apart, and Hutch gets drunk and forgets about picking up Willis, and someone sets up a bomb at Hutch's house, putting Willis in the hospital. And this is just tragic. And why are people laughing at this is beyond me. Starsky and Hutch come to the hospital while Starsky wants to apologize to Hutch, but doesn't at first because Hutch doesn't believe him, until Hutch walks outside and forgives Starsky rather too quickly and wants to go after Reese and stop his goons. And they learn Reese is making a deal with the biggest drug dealer while Hutch asks Huggy Bear to help expose Reese by making him disguised as he doesn't know what Huggy Bear looks like. And he goes undercover, and Reese slaps Huggy Bear. And there's a line he said earlier in the film, and will be repeated at the end of the movie, where nobody touches the bear. And Reese is dumb enough to slap him and disrespect him, like that, as Starsky and Hutch go to a party that Reese invited them to earlier in the film. And Dobie happens to be there, as Kitty gives some certain people certain tickets, while Juliette Lewis has very little to do in this movie, as she feels wasted in here. Starsky and Hutch go in disguise with different voices as their characters, as Reese calls out certain tickets on purpose. And Starsky and Hutch get up on purpose and upset the actual winner, as they pretend to win and show everyone the cocaine in the trunk, as Reese gets Hutch hostage, and Starsky almost drops his gun until he shoots Dobie, and Reese, with Kevin and Kitty running away, and Starsky and Hutch go after them until they get to the bay, and Reese, Kevin, and Kitty get to the boat while Starsky and Hutch think about landing the car on the boat, but they miss, and someone on the good side is on the boat, and who is that? Huggy Bear, as he hits him with the golf club and says that line, "Nobody touches the bear, you dig?" and takes his money, and they celebrate their success of the police station as Starsky is depressed because of his car is in the water, and Huggy Bear and Hutch show Starsky and car is being sold by the original Starsky and Hutch, aka Paul Michael Glazer and David Soul, giving this Starsky and Hutch in this movie the car, and Starsky drives his new car. And this climax didn't make me laugh, but how much was I not laughing? Let's talk about it. I'll give this movie a 4.8 out of 10. I don't get how funny this movie is, as I don't think it is, as I don't get this movie as the plot is all over the place, and I don't get this movie while I'm not a Todd Phillips fan in general, after a bunch of bad comedies and Joker fillet, duh, as none of this humor isn't funny, and I like The Hangover 1, but the sequels got worse and worse, as hopefully I'll never do that series. And none of his movies make me laugh, even the two Joker films, as I like the first one of that, but the second one was terrible. If you saw my reviews on them, you'll know why. As this doesn't make me laugh, as I don't know what the hell is going on in this movie. I don't like the characters, nor do I get their relationships with each other, despite this is entertaining, but not enough for me to recommend this to people, which is a real shame. But I did like the music choices, as they're groovy and fun, I guess, but unfortunately, it is not enough for me to like this movie better than I do. The cinematography felt very 1970s, which is the point of this movie, taking place in 1975, and this movie is a good it's a good cop, it goes through a good cop, bad cop cliche, and at the end of the day, this isn't as good as I remember, which is very sad, and this is a weak non-recommendation for this movie, because there's some things that doesn't make me laugh, but more heartbroken, like the pony scene, for example. And there's a reason I'll never do a filmography on Todd Phillips, as I don't laugh at his humor nor his movies. So, thank you guys for joining me for this review. And until then, nobody touches the bear.